Peace and blessings. Namaste to all light warriors, workers, and everything in between. It is I, Sophie, today, and I want to apologize in advance. I'm not sure if it's going to turn out this way or not, but it seems like a lot of times when I try to do a video in the back office, the sound comes off a little weird because it's an open space, which is good for singing. Okay, the echo is good for that, but when I'm doing a video, it seems to come choppy because, it's wide open. So if this video is coming across a little choppy, I apologize in advance. I just know that I wasn't going to have the time to do this before I headed here or afterwards. All right, I'm going to get home late. So please try to bear with me. Okay, so the topic for today is 13, okay? The power of it, the different teachings concerning it, and what I have gathered about it, especially in this eon that I am in right now, okay? And a lot of people don't understand it because there's so many different teachings about it. Before I get into that, though, I would like to address a few topics that's been hitting me this week and last week from people that are sending emails or in my Facebook Messenger. It seems to be a reoccurring thing going on right now. So I want to just address it publicly, just in case some of you are struggling with this, and it might help you along in your journey too. All right, so we know, let's just get into it. We know that when it comes down to the spiritual community, it's a lot of different teachings and a lot of different practices. And all teachings are not going to hit with everybody, okay? Because number one, you're dealing with ancestry as well, okay? You're dealing with different species, different beings, and having different genetic markers, and therefore people just gravitating to different types of truth. Ultimately, all the varying truths should lead to one truth if it is applied correctly, if you have the ability to weed out the falseness, and if you have the ability to stick with that which is righteous and will help you, to the highest versions of yourself. Also, if you stick to that which doesn't lead you to hypocrisy, which is a big pet peeve, of everybody, even your own higher self. Nothing will really hold you back as strong as being a hypocrite. Also making sure that, when you're judging yourself first, okay? You need to make sure that you're not accusing people from doing things that you yourself are doing. And a lot of times that would, end up being a haughty projection that can self-sabotage things, okay? So a few things I'm going to address very, very briefly, and then I'm going to get into 13 because some interesting things have been happening in the ether, guys. It has, and I can't wait to share it with you. So, so first of all, the spiritual community, people are practicing different things, right? Depending on what it is that you are holding truth is the reality that you will trap yourself in, okay? In order for you to really be free, you cannot hold yourself underneath an umbrella of one specific thing, okay? There are things that you can hold yourself under, but you still kind of is meant to build upon it and not stay in that stagnant type of energy, all right? A lot of teachings have been going on about curses and witchcraft and things of that nature, and it's a very, very powerful energy that does that. Why? Because we've kind of been free to do that. It's a free will choice, okay? A lot of things have been placed back into your hands, hoping that with righteousness you would apply it correctly and not bind yourself, okay? Remember, whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loosed in heaven. So basically, let's take the religious hocus pocus out of it and understand what the scripture is really trying to say to you on a broader realm, okay? Is whatever belief system, whatever thing that you hold to judge you will judge you. If you lose yourself from certain teachings, identities, and things, it will be honored in higher realms. So this is still the marriage between the lower realms and the highest realms, okay? So you have the ability to set yourself free, or you have the ability to put yourself under bondage. Remember, this was also a teaching in, in some of the New Testaments where they were saying, hey, for those who deal with the laws, okay, the law of Moses will be judged by the law of Moses, okay? If you don't deal with any laws, you're going to be judged by your righteousness, which is supposed to be based on your heart and your intention. But when people bind themselves to a certain belief system or a certain teaching, you better make sure you stick to every last one of those tenets, because no longer will that free will, well, not that free will, that intention apply to you, because your intention has been placed into law. All right. So now that becomes your judge and your ruler. All right. So you can either bind your own soul or you can loose your own soul. And not only that, but you can do that for others as well, for those underneath you, or, that you are teaching. In this day and age, we really wasn't supposed to have saviors, that are here. We're supposed to be our own saviors. Each one is supposed to teach one. There should not be one person over everybody, okay? We should be exchanging information, and you're going to find out, later on where you're ranking based off of the things that you're doing, okay? Nobody's assigning things to you, okay? You are assigning your righteousness to yourself. So what that being said is, okay, say for every belief system that we hold, there is a plane or dimensional area there where the frequencies ride equally across it, all right? And if you're in that same frequency, whatever's in that frequency is going to affect you. However, if you're outside of that frequency, and whatever outside of it, will affect you as well. So one that's here and one that's here is two different things. A lot of times we are blaming outside interferences for things that we know we need to give up. We know we need to do it, okay? Everybody has a certain vice, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be drugs. Okay, some people have sex addiction. Some people have food addictions. Some people, workaholics. Anything like that. Anything that is done in excess can actually harm your walk. Sorry, because it kind of halts progression to that one little area. Okay, therefore it becomes a lord over you. So be careful on the things that you obsessively do. You need to know whether or not something is good for you, or you're okay to do based on the fruits, the results that it yields. Hence, if you are doing something, okay, if you're smoking weed, say, everybody doesn't smoke weed, right? Some people like to smoke weed, okay? Some people who can smoke weed, they can go into their meditations, they can be okay, whatever they do. And there's others that might get very lazy or just want to eat, you'll understand that anything that you do can lower your vibration low enough to be infiltrated, okay, to be non-productive. That does not mean that you're cursed, all right? That means that there's areas in your life that you yourself have the power to get over it once you have acknowledged it. If there's anything that you are doing, and you can't base it off of what other people's doing, okay, or what other people are not doing. You have to base it off of you yourself, your identity, your consciousness, the things that, are affecting your life. Okay, is it taking you to the highest version of yourself? Or is it leaving you vulnerable? Or is it taking you to the lowest versions of yourself? Is it altering the way that you process information, your common sense, your light? Okay, if these things are happening, then that's telling you that it's time to leave that alone, because that right there is your demon. All right, that right there is your devil. That is the thing that you have to overcome on your own. Do you understand? Okay, so now with that being said, we all have to learn when it's time to let things go. If you're finding yourself in a repeated patterns where you're ascending, you're getting your light, and as soon as you do that thing, everything alters. That's not something you're going to be able to pray away. That's not something that you're going to be able to do a spell work about it, okay? This is you lacking discipline. And trust me, you will never get any higher until you let go of this thing. There were things I had to let go. And I think that that's what I had to process. And the reason why I did go through that eclipse purge that way for a whole week, okay? When I came back out of it, I don't have any more vices. Okay? Now, well, I'm not going to say that. I'm kind of still struggling with ice cream, certain things like that, sweets. Okay? I'm kind of struggling with it, but, other than that, everything is gone. So the vessel now becomes clean, which means that the thing that binds your mind into negative thinking, into lower vibrations, is no longer there, which keeps you in what type of vibration? Right? Curse broken. Nobody had to do it for you. You did it for yourself. Okay. Number two, so many people, this is mostly happening with older women. Okay. So I'm going to narrow this down to older women. It's not for everybody. Okay. You're going and you're working yourself out to death. You know, you're trying to get this perfect body. You're trying to look younger. You know, you're getting plastic surgery and BBLs and things like that. And a lot of that is because you still want to look good. And the reason why you want to look good, excuse me, is because at some point, you know, a lot of you share the same story. I'm not going to say all of you have it, but a lot of you share the same story. A lot of times you want to look this way is because maybe you were in a relationship and, you know, you got cheated on. Like they went to a younger woman, all right, which caused a little bit of insecurity in you. And now you want to compete with the younger generation because you think you really lost something that was dear to you, that was important to you, your husband, you know, or your fiance, or somebody that you was dating walks away and decides to deal with a younger woman, and now this created all types of abandonment issues, rejection issues, insecurities, and I'm here to tell you, stop it. Stop it. Okay? I'm just now getting to the point in my walk. I thought it was a little bit weird at first, you know, and some of it is still a little weird, depending on the age, right? But I could not for the longest time figure out why, you know, a lot of times men dated younger women until I was a younger woman and then came into an older woman. And what I'm here to say to you is I'm starting to see why this could possibly make sense. The truth of the matter, even scientifically, biologically speaking, right, they will tell you that women mature a lot faster than men. They go into puberty faster, you know, and then their mind space has to develop a little bit quicker. And, you know, I don't want to offend anybody, but just all around, you know, we tend to be the more mature species. Okay. I'm starting to realize that if men leave you to go, you know, to a younger woman, chances are it's not even about the looks. I mean, there could play a part in it, but it's starting to make more sense to me that men are going to gravitate, and this could work on the flip side too with women. Okay, if you're a man and this has happened to you, you know, but you tend to gravitate to the mindset and the maturity of your equal. So even if I was to date somebody the exact same age, it still feels like 5 to 10 year age difference. Okay, it really does. And I'm starting to sit back and go, oh my God, now I can see it. Now I can absolutely see it. I have to date somebody older than me. I have to, because we're just not processing information the same. Okay, where women tend to really start looking and observing their life is in their 20s. You know, men don't start doing it in their 30s. So what typically happens, you know, when a woman that is in her 50s or 40s starts to date somebody in their 30s, it's a lot of unnecessary fights, you know, and sometimes the man will get intimidated because the things that he used to work, things he used to have work for him, the little lines and stuff that used to go with the younger women, you're looking at them like, okay, but, you know, I need you to go pick up these groceries, though. Okay, all of that is amazing. All of that is amazing. It's not impressive. It's not oppressive to you. So what I'm saying to you is don't compete with that, okay? Let them, you're going to save yourself a big headache, okay, if you decide to try to hold on to that situation. Let them go with the mature mindset that they are already in, okay? You will thank me later. Trust me, okay? If you fight with it and he still wants to be with somebody really young, he's going to bring that mentality right back to your relationship. So let it go, okay? I actually told somebody before, I think you need to date younger. I think you need to date somebody a lot younger. And it wasn't for me to be insulting. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So stop competing, okay? Be your authentic, beautiful self. All right, and you're gonna attract a lot of people. Trust me, you are. All right, and you don't have to do all of that stuff to do it. It's your inner beauty that's gonna come out, girl. All right, that's what's going to show. So you don't have to do that. Let them do that. It's probably more. They're probably more compatible. All right, and then we come across as always pushing and nagging, So you don't want to be that girl, and you don't want to be that guy. So it'll work out. All right, so we're done with that, right? I think that was it. I think it was the two relationships that I had to deal with. And all right, so let's move on with the topic. I hope I inspired you some kind of way to just be yourself. Also, get rid of the mentality of like I have to have it now. Women are outnumbering men. You better look at the new polls, all right, and let that antiquated belief go. All right, I started noticing, at least for the past decade, that a lot of males were being born. Okay, and now we're headed to males actually outnumbering females. Had to happen that way. Remember the video that I did maybe about 2-3 years ago? When I said we had to purge out the old mentality to bring in a new level of masculines. All right, this is what happened, and this is what's happening now. Okay, I think it's like 105 males to every 100 females, and this is globally. All right, so you don't have to be put or felt like time is short, or you're limited with males, or they're just all going to be incarcerated and all of that stuff. It's not going to happen. The earth is balancing and correcting itself. All right, I already told you it's going to be imbalanced a little bit before it becomes balanced. And so the ancestors are here. They've actually been here, but the way they're manifesting is a little bit stronger now. Okay, 13. That's what leads me into 13. So when in 2021, when they finally announced that 12 constellation, okay, Ophius, okay. He was represented as the serpent bearer. Okay, the serpent bearer. There's only one real deity, ancient. One of the first. That represents a serpent bearer, and he wears the serpent around his neck. We exited the age of Pisces, and we know that the age of Pisces was more of the Christian era. Okay, this was when we were building another church, laying foundations from the old, and each eon or each generation builds upon the previous generation. So we're getting ready to leave, if we haven't already, the age of Pisces, which means a lot of that thought process is now going to be, I'm not going to say obsolete, but it's going to be built upon for the higher level. We're going to constantly expand upwards, okay? So we're closing out one cycle. We're taking some of the key tenets of that cycle with us, so we know what to bring into the new cycle, right? The new era. But at the exact same time, we take those tenets of righteousness and we're expanding it to see what today looks like, how things are governing today. And we're doing that by observing, okay? What have you noticed about the U.S.? Okay, for those of you who are here, what have you noticed? What strong presence have you seen everywhere? Okay? Have you been paying attention to that? Okay? What is the strongest presence? I mean, I look around, like even in southern states, we have all of these Hindu temples, right? We're having the introduction of different types of dance and yoga and chi and chakras and things of that nature. And a lot of those ancient teachings are making their way back, right? Because some of them were beneficial for humanity. It really was. And there was nothing wrong with those teachings, okay? It just happens that sometimes we have ancestors or we had elves that was always competing for supremacy. Okay, and that was the actual influence that started the human influence of wanting to be the greatest nations and fighting with other nations. If our ancestors, if the elves of old did not introduce that concept, we would have a beautiful human experience where there would not have been any racism, where there would not have been any nationalism and things of that nature. But, everything trickled down, right? As above, so below. So some things that, we have done in the past that needs to be reconciled now is coming in for reconciliation. So we have the 13th constellation, okay? We're going to look at that as, in this new numerology. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So even when I say, I am Sophie, I am from the 13th eon, it's really, really a difficult concept for humanity to actually process. They come up with numerical values and things like that that would make sense to humanity, okay? If we give it to them in that manner. But the truth of the matter is, the fourth dimension or anything that's dealing with 13 exists outside of natural space and time. Okay, so it can come in and out of realities and dimensions as it pleases, and it's never going to fit according to your timeline, because anytime you're dealing with 13, you are dealing with the ability to create massive change, the anomaly, entering into a new era. You'll see it every single time, even in your scriptures, okay? And you have a 13th apostle, okay? Then you look at that apostle and you realize that the teachings don't quite match now, does it? Does it mean that they were wrong? No. What it means is that it's coming from a different school of thought that is existing outside of that era, even though there are connections that connect you to it. All right? So you can never really put a numerical value on the number 13 because it just is. And that's what makes it magical. All right? So, we have the 13th constellation that is coming in that's going to enter into that, oh my God, that age of Ophiuchus, okay? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I just need you to get the message right now. We'll go back and figure that out later. Not that I'm going to edit this, even if I did pronounce it wrong. It's just going to be what it is. It just always is. So, I want you to connect parallels. Remember that I said, we have elves that can reinvent themselves, okay? Well, we also have ancestors that have went cross-culturally and changed names, okay? Or adapted older names, which might not all the time be the truth, but sometimes it's easier for the mind to process, right? So we're just going to let it go how it goes because it's not going to affect the world one way or the other. Rather a lot you believe that these elves are the same, rather a lot that you believe they were good or they were evil, it does not affect today. Because whatever we did in the past does not affect today. Okay, what we're going in the future, we're going to learn from that, okay? But we're not going to hold the energy of it. Because if you hold the energy of it, you will never evolve. All right? And I'm going to tell you that everything that we thought was good in the past wasn't always good in the past. You want to know how we know? Because beings like us are here. And I'm quite sure that this wasn't like our first assignment that we jumped to. I'm sure we've been here before. All right? But anyway, after the age of Aquarius, as we went on again, okay, then you have the serpent bearer age that is coming in. This here is your judge. Okay? And it's really a principle behind it, okay? So when this judge is not for humanity at all, okay? This judge is for the elves, okay? This judge is for people like us who have come here to help with the ascension journey, okay? How are we leading our flocks? How are we leading humanity? What type of examples are we setting? We're the ones, okay, that wanted to come here and do this that will be judged. Okay, according to our contractual obligations, okay? Especially if you're one from old that kind of messed up and you're supposed to be here to make things right this time and you're dragging your feet and pussyfooting around, or you're still having a hard time letting go of the earth experience, okay? That's when the crap is going to hit the fan for a lot of people, okay? Not for humanity, all right? Humanity itself is self-governing, all right? They are going to be judged by their own fruits, all right, by their own belief systems, okay? Whatever it is that they have decided to govern their consciousness and create as law, whether it came from a book, this book, that book, however it comes, because you're going to gravitate to a teaching that affects you. Period. You just have to make sure it doesn't affect you negatively. And the only way that you can do that is to judge your fruit and allow people around you to judge your fruit. See if what it is that you're putting out is bettering you and those around you, or making it worse? See, with whatever it is that you are ingesting, is it bettering you or is it making you worse? Okay? If it does make you worse, then that's your judge right there. You have identified what the problem is. You don't have to try to keep going outside of yourself. You know what it is. So now it's your job to fix it. And during this time, we really can't afford to, let certain things slide because it'll start taking you backwards. There's nothing on this plane of existence that's worth really fighting for, holding on to forever and ever and ever. There's nothing on this plane of existence that you shouldn't be willing to give up, especially when it's coming to your own soul advancement. Okay, this is what we want to do. So here's the real meaning of the scripture that says, if your right eye causes you to sin, then pluck it out. That's not literal, guys. Okay? When Yeshua was teaching that, he was saying you have to let go of the things that are holding you back, that is keeping you from ascension. Okay? It's not saying to harm yourself. Okay, it's not doing that at all. It's saying you have to identify what it is that you are binding yourself to, what it is that is keeping you bound. And once you realize what that is, you want to be willing to cut that out of your life in order for you to hit a higher level. Okay, all of us need to be doing this. And trust me, it's not easy. Some of us had habits that we had since we were 12, 14 years old. Some even younger than that. Some been passed down to you. It's hereditary. So what I like to call generational curses. You're being affected by it because your mother was affected by it, that your father was affected by it, because your grandparents was affected by it, because your great-great-grand. Okay. So certain things like that, we're kind of preconditioned to accept or even do. But guess what? When it comes down to your own soul's growth and elevation, it's not going to be judged by your mom, your father, your greats. Okay? It's all going to be about you. So you have to do what is necessary to get you to that next plane, the next plane of existence. However teachings that you have. Okay? I still am around people that are still asking, according to the Old Testament or the laws, of Moses, they say. And understand that the laws of Moses is not the laws of God. Okay? That's something else that we got to get past. Okay? Your teachings that's been passed down to you may have been passed down to you by ascended masters, master teachers. Okay, maybe they were passed down to you by elves and angels. It does not mean that everything that you read is coming from the Creator, even if it uses His name. They've already done that in the past. Why can't you see the pattern repeating? Okay, there's nothing new under the sun. But we keep repeating the same patterns because we're never getting the lesson. And until you get the lesson, you will always be there, okay? And as soon as another book saying, oh, this is the different, I am the supreme creator of all creators, of all universes, and I'm going to break down something. Now you're going to disregard the last book and say, oh, well, that was by one creator, but this is the creator of creators. And this is what this says. Do you understand? The whole point in any of these writings is for you to develop your own relationship with the divine and understand people's past, people's walks, people's decisions, okay? People's experiences, elves' experiences as well, angels' experiences as well, and you to come up with a righteous decision on your own, based off of not only what you read, but what you have experienced. All right? So you already know, and some of you are already the judge of your own reality, but you're looking for an escape route. Because the truth is, you don't really want to give up that. You like things the way that they are, but you don't like the outcome of it. So what are you going to do? Because nobody's going to intervene in your free will choice to attract negativity to yourself. Okay? Nobody's righteous. And even if they were to do it, okay, say there's something that you're doing and you know that it's holding you back from reaching the pinnacle of yourself. Something that you're doing. You don't want to stop doing it, but you still want to reach the highest pinnacle. And say you go into somebody real powerful that can help you get there without you doing the work. How long do you think it's going to last? Your frequency's still low, boo. You're still going to be infiltrated. It's not going to work. The only way things are going to work is if you work them. And that's just period. And I know that that's a hard pill to swallow. All right? Now, let's tie some lines in here, okay? There are teachings that are still separating groups and groups of people based on ancestry, based on else, based on facial features, you know, melanin, you know, things of that nature, right? Consider ether beings possibly being so dark that they're taking on blue forms, okay? And then you want to see certain beings that are in that blue and try to figure out what you're trying to connect it to. Remember in the Old Testament, okay, when we're dealing with one of the creation stories, because trust me, there were many, and some of them get a little deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And once you get to those creation stories, then you know that the ones that you've been told originally just doesn't make sense, or they're only part of the story, but not the whole story, right? Remember, as God was creating, you know, the birds, the trees, the sun, the light, all of that stuff. What did he say after he did it? He looked at it and said it was good. Right? It was good. When we say good, we mean okay, or sometimes, you know, that can be a synonym for it. You know, we can use it in place of and say okay. This is a universal okay, the thumbs up, okay? Interesting enough, what is the mudra for Mahadev or Shiva, the serpent bearer? What is his mudra? Do you know? It is good. Okay? Now, what I am doing is dropping hints to you about how to recognize energetic signatures cross culturally, no matter what their names are. Okay? Now, what is also identifying a target for the Hindu god, Shiva, right? Creator being, observation, and destruction. Okay? Does that mean, is that synonymous with him having the ability to create both good and evil? Or to hang in the balance? Right? How you process this being is through your experience and observation. To me, he's the same as any of them or all of them. Have the ability to be in duality. Have the ability to think and make decisions, whether they are good or they are bad. But as I said, and as our ancestors said, all truths are only half truths. Okay? Once you get that in your mind, you will separate and start to separate the being from the action. Right? You got to look at things from multiple realities and higher vantage points before you, being minimal on a 3D level, operating off of 3D things, start to make a judgment in that matter. Was it good? All right? 13, the serpent bearer. Look and observe your surroundings. That's the only way you're going to validate what is true. You can read something all day. You have to verify. You have to see it. See the influence coming in. Okay? So understand, and then understand some of your prophecies that was coming up. Can you make these connections? Once you have the ability to make these connections, you'll stop being so divisive. Okay? The anomaly, the 13th eon, we're simply saying we're energies that exist beyond space and time. It does not exist where we're from. So therefore, if Sophie is from the 13th eon, then she is from the 13th eon. Okay? And if we know what influence is coming in and how strongly it's coming in and why that constellation was introduced, that can help you tie up some of your prophecies. Understand wisdom. Everything's not black and white. Know what they are. Okay? Yeah. My name is Sophie, and I love you all. Have a wonderful evening.